Hey, podcaster, welcome back. We are finally here to the R in CPR. We are going to give ourselves a round of applause because this is where we're going to start reviving those things that we really want. We're going to rejoice and we are going to then rinse and repeat. So today we, of course, are talking about R in CPR. We're resuscitating our businesses, our podcasts, our passions. And today we're going to talk about generating the income, that revenue that we want so that we can rejoice and we can actually take some part in our lives and we can actually celebrate helping and serving others while being paid to do it so that we can take our businesses, our lives to that next level that we really desire. Get rid of that hustle, get off that damn hamster wheel and start having a profitable and fulfilling business that makes us feel good on the inside and the out. Are you ready? Let's go. Welcome to Beyond the Downloads. I'm Jen, your podcast bestie, here to tell you there's so much more about podcasting than just those numbers. So before you throw in the towel, you better listen up. We're diving deep into the heart of what makes podcasting truly special, from storytelling to connection, and yes, even healing. Think of me as your podcast life raft, ready to help you navigate those choppy waters of this podcasting world and the podcast overwhelm. From understanding the therapeutic power of sharing your voice to the practical tips to grow your show without losing your ever-loving mind. If you're ready to ditch the hustle and create content that leaves a legacy, a tsunami impact, no more ripples. Whether you're launching your first show or looking to take your podcast to the next level, I'm here to help you grow, launch, and yes, make some money from your passion. Let's make your podcasting dreams your reality. It's time to go beyond the downloads, where your story becomes a legacy. Okay, this is part 3 of CPR. We also do these CPR audits together if you want a one-on-one where I look at your business, your podcast, your current marketing plan. We kind of make some tweaks. We make a 30-day plan. If you want to grab a CPR audit where I am doing this side by side with you, looking at your business, podcastcpr.com. You can grab it. It's 45 minutes with me. We really dig in deep. But today we're talking about the R. So 2 weeks ago, we did C, which was the clarity piece. Last week, we did people, passion, and purpose. And today we are going to take that beautiful foundation to set up our podcasts and our business so that we can make money and have sustainable growth without pulling our hair out because we're stuck on the hamster wheel. So when I say reviving your business, it's about focusing on creating the offers that feel right, the systems that feel good to you, the marketing, the systems to bring in the revenue, and ensuring that it aligns with your values and your purpose. When any of that is off, or you don't have a solid foundation of the C and the P to build your business and your podcast or any of your marketing strategies on, this is where it fails. So many podcasters and entrepreneurs struggle with the revenue piece because their offers just don't align with who they are or what they want. Maybe you're doing like I did for so long, finance and health coaching, when it was really I wanted to help business coaching get out of their minds and actually start sharing their stories so that they could be a life raft for someone else. So the goal isn't just to make money, but it's to rejoice. Again, we're using all the R words in the work that you're doing because you've built a business that feels good, that you're actually serving. You're not fantasy marketing people, that you're actually making a difference in people's life. Even if you make a difference in one person's life, it goes out to another, and then everybody that touches. So I really feel that if you start with just one person, it does ripple out. And eventually, as that ripple builds, we build that tsunami of the change that we actually want to take over the world. So again, as we're talking about this, my story is that I've really gone down this path of over the last, I don't even know, many years of figuring out who it is, who I am, and who I want to be. And it's taken a lot of burn downs. I burnt down my life, basically. I decided that I wasn't aligned with the person that I was married to, so I left the marriage because it was very unhealthy. I've burned down friendships. I've burned down businesses. But from all of those burn downs, I took aligned action during those burn downs. And every time I make a step forward, my business grows, my happiness increases, and things become easier and easier. I used to work 70 to 80-hour weeks. I admit that some weeks I'm at 60 plus hours. This week, right now, as you're listening to this, I am actually in LA at a mastermind with one of my clients where I get to speak to the attendees about podcasting, and then I get to play, because I feel like these masterminds, many of them forget that there should be fun involved. And I love how Project Me with Tiffany adds that. I'll add her podcast into my show notes and the description on YouTube, because I truly do believe that she can help you get to the next level in a fun way without having to be super stressed out. But I'm excited about this process, because what happened is I started and I kept showing up. I kept showing up and I kept allowing things to kind of fall into place. So I started in nutrition, and then it fell into place where it went to chronic illness. And you've heard my story. If you haven't, here we go again. But I went into nutrition, and then I went into chronic pain, and then chronic illness, and then helping people with chronic illness build businesses. And then I ended up in podcasting from a clubhouse room, and then I built from there. And then I wrote a best-selling book last year about your story as someone's life raft. And then I became the storytelling podcast guru, where we really are building your story to build out your business and your journey, and aligning that passion and that purpose to make this work. So now that we know about the passion and the purpose, what happens for me is now I can almost not show up. I've proven this. For like 6 months, I didn't really show up and do anything. Like whether it was I kind of showed up podcasting, kind of barely showed up on any of the social media platforms, and my business has tripled because I've built the network. I've built a connection. I've built a referral network that's constantly referring to me. And this is the beauty of like podcasting and getting to know your audience beyond the social media and having actual direct conversations with people. Because again, podcasting, if you look at it for guesting or sharing or networking, it's a great way to network. But it's really increased, again, 3x my income, and my life is so much better. I'm working way less hours. I'm having fun, and I'm doing the things that I want to do. So reviving your revenue means aligning your work, your marketing efforts, your business, the way you show up, the way you attract people, the way you podcast, the way you offer your solutions. To really revive it means you've got to be bringing in the revenue where it feels good in your soul. You're not overcharging so that you feel like cringy, but you're pushing yourself a little bit at a time, so that, we want to be uncomfortable. If you're comfortable, it's time to start looking at your business and seeing where we can either raise your prices, change your offers. We don't want to just be status quo, because we want to always be building, right? Because we want to be getting to that next level. So for me, like that satisfaction piece has to really be part of that reviving your revenue, reviving and rejoicing. So we have to look at that piece. So creating that aligned offer for me, it really boils down to like, what are my people needing? I have my profitable podcast launch system. It's so much fun. And what I do differently with all my programs is that whatever program that you come into, you join my membership for a certain amount of time so that you get hot seat coaching, because I don't think that DIYs are great for many people. I really don't. And you might be cringing over there being like, Jen, you're crazy. You cray girl. I just want to do it on my own time. Great. There's a course in there. You can do things on your own time. But really having that ability to go and bounce ideas off, hear other people's struggles. You might not even realize you're struggling with something until you hear somebody else talk about it. So creating that aligned offer. So you've got to look at, we did the clarity piece 2 weeks ago. We did our people and our passions and our purpose last week. So what is that problem you're solving? And before you start creating anything, test. I just put a test out a couple weeks ago that said, hey, does anybody want to join a 30-day Grow Your Podcast Challenge for $30? You'll get weekly hot seat coachings, daily actions. Everyone's like, yes. You can still grab that. It's in the show notes. It's still $30. Come on in. You can join us. You get 30 days in the group, whether you start yesterday or tomorrow or next week, just come hang out and get those daily actions so that you can start moving your podcast forward. But what I did first is I looked at my audience's needs. I was like, oh, okay. My audience is starting to launch. We've already gotten launched. I've got the launch system down. That thing's nailed in because you get the launch system, you get the community support, and you get a one-on-one support because I don't let anybody do anything by themselves. Sorry, not sorry. And I was like, what's the next step? What do I do with the people that have already launched? Let's do a 30-day low-cost challenge to push people through. Great. I started talking about it before I built it, before I launched it. So you have to take that aligned action. And sometimes it's testing your audience. Don't have an audience yet? Get your butt into some Facebook groups. And I know you're rolling your eyes. You're like, Facebook is dead. I'm like, Facebook isn't dead. And if you find a group of people on Facebook that are in your ideal client, that have the issue that you can solve, I go in a bunch of podcast groups. I see what people complain about all the time. And guess what? I create a solution for it. I poll the audience and boom, things sell. So it's really important while you're doing this to also stay true to your mission when you're creating your offers, your products, your services, your courses, your coaching packages, whatever it is. Because here's the thing is I could also look and be like, oh, people are really struggling with XYZ in podcasting and go that line. But that doesn't feel good to me. Growing your show, getting in front of other people's audience, finding that aligned offer, finding that aligned purpose so that your passion drives things and your story can come out and actually serve others. That's what's important to me. So you have to align your offers with that core message that you learned from the last 2 weeks. So these are some questions that I want you to ask yourself. What problems does your ideal audience or customer face that you are super passionate about solving? Again, we're going back to the passion, not the purpose. But what is that? You don't know what it is? Get into a Facebook group or two with who you think your ideal audience is. I go into Facebook groups about podcasting and podcast guesting. And I also have some spiritual communities because I love helping healers and people that are working in like making changes and transformations through mindset and subconscious work. So I go in there and I see where they're struggling. Where are they struggling? What am I passionate about solving? I'm passionate about solving them getting in front of other people, making a bigger impact, being that life raft for somebody by sharing their gifts. I'm passionate about that. So I created an offer around there. What are you excited to offer that feels true to your gifts and your expertise? Sometimes we go way outside and I'm like, I'm going to offer this and this, and you're not comfortable with that yet. Granted, you need to be a little bit uncomfortable. If you're not too uncomfortable, then you're not pushing yourself far enough, but you don't have to be so uncomfortable that you go and hide. This is what happened to me is I was like, I'm going to do XYZ with podcasters and I'm going to take them to the next 1 million downloads in a year, blah, 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 blah. No. That's not what I'm going to do. I'm going to take you through getting your listenership up where it's supporting your business, whether that's 30 people listening to your show who are all buying because they're super fans. And if 30 people came into your mastermind at $2,000 to $5,000, boom, do you need to do much more than that? Or maybe you need hundreds of people. Whatever it is, we find that aligned thing. So I need you to find something that feels true to you. Me offering $100,000 coaching mentorship for a year doesn't feel true to me. I don't feel like I'm far enough along in my journey to be able to do that for someone else. But me offering a membership program or a 30-day launch, a 30-day grow your podcast challenge, or the profitable podcast launch system, or the 90-day profitable plan, those all feel really good to me. And I've aligned them in a place that I feel good offering them so that I continue to show up. So I want you to think about that. What are you excited and what's true to you and true to your gifts and your expertise? What could you offer? How does your offer help your audience achieve your goal or solve the problem that they are just struggling with? You're here to make an impact. Sometimes that struggle and might not lead to someone buying your thing. But like for me, I listen to podcasts and I personally have had people on my podcast that it actually saved my life because being able to show up and listen and have those things reprogram my mindset actually gave me the hope that there was a reason to wake up in the morning. And I went from suicidal ideation and praying to not wake up to actually wanting to get up and to make a difference in the world because somebody made an impact on my life. And I'm like, I can do that too. So I really want you to think about what your audience's goals are and how you can solve some of their pain points. And again, they're not all going to become customers, but if you can serve your audience and help somebody over even that first step, you're still serving. So the exercise is this. I want you to brainstorm all these things about your listeners. Get into Facebook groups. List out the 3 pain points your audience faces. And I want you to also list out 3 of the desires that they wish they had. I want you to match these pain points to your skills, knowledge, and that passion, that thing that lights you up. And your action step is to create a rough outline of a podcast series, or maybe it's a product, or maybe it's a service, whichever one you're working on right now. I would really suggest a podcast series, because if you can come up with a series to solve these 3 pain points, again, podcast is giving people that baby step forward, They work with you on a low level. That's a couple step forward. They work with you on your higher level stuff. That's running the marathon or whatever it is. So I want you to do that addresses the pain points while feeling aligned to your core identity, your values, and your passions. Because here's the thing is you have the pain points and you have their desires and you have your own skills, knowledge, and passion when all of that aligns. So I really want you to think of a rough outline of a podcast series, maybe 3, because there's 3 pain points I want you to think about, 3 desires I want you to think about, maybe a series of 3. Or maybe this sparks something and you're like, oh, I know my next offer. Again, before you create a big old course, test it with your audience, launch it live first. That's a bonus tip right there. So you want to revive your revenue through marketing and pricing is next. So now that you have this down, you've got to have a revenue system that feels good inside your soul. I don't feel, like I said, right, charging $100,000 for a 1-year mentorship. I'm not there. But I want you to start thinking about how your package, your offers that feels good to you, your business goals, and your audience needs. It should reflect your value, but it is not your value. Again, the dollar amount is not your value. So for me, like when I was launching this 30-day Grow Your Podcast challenge, I'm like, 30 days, $1 a day. Great. But guess what? In a month time, once I've proved these people that my ideal people have gone through this process and I see when, it's never going to be $30 again. So if you want to grab it, better grab it now while it's $30. And then I want you to start thinking about how that pricing makes you feel. Like I could probably have pushed it to $60 at $2 a day because that feels a little uncomfortable. $30 felt really comfortable, but I want you to keep incrementally pushing forward. I do this with one of my clients. She's like, I want to launch my course at $5,000. We put it at $5,000. She stopped showing up. I'm like, well, wait. Let's go backwards. Oh, well, I feel comfortable. If you could charge anything and somebody would pay and you felt okay with it, what would that be? Oh, $1,500. Okay. Let's launch it at $1,800. Again, we pushed that $300 up. And guess what? She started showing up and she started actually offering her offer and started selling it. And then as she got more confident and her ego and her body felt safe, we were able to move up the prices. The other thing you need to start thinking about is your marketing and the marketing strategy, because so many of us are showing up on all the platforms and we're just repurposing our podcast, and repurposed content does not work like it used to. It just doesn't. People don't want to see clips from your podcast. There's some places that it can kind of work if you do it correctly, but we've got to just pick a strategy, and we don't have to be on all the platforms. I don't care if Mama so-and-so over here says you need to be on everything and every platform and just repurpose and take your TikTok and repurpose it to your reel and then put it on YouTube Shorts and then put it on your LinkedIn. Don't do that. Really look at your ideal person and get really smoking good where it's just bringing people in on one platform outside of your podcast, and then keep going. If you're already showing up on 2 platforms and it's working great, keep showing up on those 2 until you've mastered it. So you can start thinking about different things. There's also other ways in podcasting that you might not think of. You can do a podcast intro swap. That's where you have somebody else come on and do your intro for the week. So instead of hearing my voice and the Welcome to Beyond It downloads, you might hear so-and-so's voice from so-and-so podcast showing up to introduce you to me and my podcast. And then they tell you a little bit about theirs. So you can do those. You can do interview swaps. You can do podcast ads. If you have somebody that you want to, plug an ad in, an ad for your show, whatever you want to do, you can do exclusive content. So there's ways that you can oh yes, exclusive content for those that are hanging out on my podcast. There's an exclusive EFT tapping drop on this podcast every month, things like that. So you can do this. And then you can also do things like webinars and workshops that you can push people to the next level with you, right? So they're taught right now on a podcast, you're being talked at. You're part of the conversation, but you're being talked at. If you can do a workshop where you can invite people in and get it to be more of a two-way conversation, guess what? You can easily bring people into other things. It gains that know, like, and trust so much faster. So you can do those paid or unpaid, either way. So what I want you to do is I want you to start thinking about what platforms outside of podcasting do you want to use? Is there, social media? Do you have an email? I mean, we all need to build emails. I am raising my hand. I'm building my email list. I'm working on it. It's coming. I promise, because that's something that we own. Podcasting, they can kind of take away from us, but emails we own. So I really want you to think of where are the two places you really want to show up? For me, it's podcasting, and Facebook is my social media. And of course, I'm doing YouTube. So I have 3, but I want you to start thinking about this. Where is it that you actually want to start simplifying your marketing plan? You don't have to be on every platform to grow. And some platforms grow your podcast faster than others. It's just how it is. So I want you to also remember that this is a joyful practice. Your business should bring you joy. Again, this is the rejoicing process. So finding the joy in your business, reframing your mindset. I want you to start reframing your mindset and your listeners to celebrate small wins and celebrate the journey and do things that are revenue generating, that align with that purpose of yours, but can also make you feel joyful and not just profitable. For me, I love when I work with people on my 90-day podcast profit plan, because I get to look into their whole business, their whole being. We talk about what they want, how they want their family life to look like, what they want their business to look like. We create content and a profit plan around what feels good to them. We get them off of the things that aren't really working and really hyper focused on the things that actually are moving the needle forward. And we tease out these programs and these offers and these podcast series that feel so good. And then we can really rejoice because we've taken off that pressure. We've backed down a little bit and we're like, oh, this feels good. Now I'm going to go celebrate and do something that's fun, that's not just work, that's not just trying to strive for that next thing, that's not just pushing and pushing and pushing and pushing. So I want you to start thinking about what parts of your business and your podcast bring you the most joy. I really need to start bringing back guests. I love talking to people and making those connections. They brings me joy. Is it more work in the back end? Yeah, it is. But it brings me so much joy in connecting with other people that I need to bring that back in. I love doing workshops that are open mic so that we can go back and forth. I absolutely love doing my weekly hot seat coachings inside of my membership. I love having those two-way conversations. So how can you reframe to celebrate your wins and to start doing the revenue generating activities with purpose that actually brings you joy? For me, all of those activities, having audits, doing CPR audits, podcast CPR, if you want an audit where I look at your business and we realign all of this for 30 days together, but we really reflect on the parts that bring you joy and focus on those. I want you to write down one thing. This is your action step that brings you joy in your business this week. Whether that's cutting out because you're like, Jen just gave me permission to ditch this platform and it brought you joy. Maybe it's adding something new. Maybe it's reaching out and being like, oh, I want a guest on my podcast for the first time. Maybe it's, I'm done doing guests. I want to go solo. Maybe it's creating a workshop or having a workshop or doing a live Zoom coffee chat meetup, whatever. People still do those. They still work. They're still great. But what is it that brings you the joy, that brings you that little bit of excitement and that little bit of peace and that little bit of more calm? And then once you have all of this, the beautiful thing with the R is the rinse and repeat. So once you've revived your revenue, you're starting to rejoice, you have your people, your passion, and your purpose, and you're clear. All you do is rinse and repeat. As we grow, we are going to want to change because we are growing, right? Like I started with just podcast launch. I grew into a podcast production company. I grew into somebody who supports people with a 90-day profit plan. I grew into a business profit coach where I'm helping business owners with their podcast, their marketing, and their actual profit plans. So you can start to rinse and repeat this so that it becomes sustainable and you get growth. So many people just want to put things like build it once and we're going to build this beautiful course and it's going to be passive income forever. And that's not the truth. You have to be able to move the needle forward and create the routines and pivot and change with each level of growth so that you can keep repeating that successful actions to grow your business so that you can step back a little bit more. So do you need to be constantly creating and feeding the content monster? No. But you can create repeatable marketing strategies for each one of your podcasts, each one of your episodes. You can automate some of the processes. You can use AI. There's ways to create sustainability and growth. So I challenge you to just think about like what's worked for you in the past. And is there any way that you can systemize those actions? Maybe it's adding a workshop once a month and you can drop it in your podcast episodes and you share it. Maybe it's using AI as a VA. Shout out to CapShow because CapShow helps me so much. Love CapShow. If you want to try out CapShow, best AI out there for podcasters, helps you create all the copy for all the content that you have by just recording. You're putting your recording into the software and it spits it all out for you. And there's some really cool clipping things going on that's actually creating the content that you can put up on like YouTube Shorts and things like that. Best one I found out there. If you want to test it out, there's a 20% off coupon in the show notes for you. Freaking fabulous. Fabulous, fabulous. But I want you to create, your action step is to create one repeatable process or routine that can help you and your business and your podcast run smoothly. Maybe that's creating an SOP about time for your podcast and your business. That's standard operating practices where you can follow a step-by-step each week so that you're in there. Maybe that's blocking out a certain amount of time. So I'm really excited for you. I'm so excited that you want to do this. We're going to go out and we're going to revive. We're going to get some revenue. We're going to rejoice and we're going to rinse and repeat. So we're going to create those aligned offers that align with your passion and your audience and your purpose. We're going to get that revenue. We're going to market and price our offers authentically in a way that feels so good to you that it's hard to not want to share. We're going to rejoice because we're going to find all the joy in our business and celebrate all of our wins. And then we're going to build a system for long-term growth and sustainability. So I'm really excited for this. Here is your challenge. Should you want to take it, finalize your aligned offer and set a price. It feels a little bit uncomfortable. Outline a simple marketing plan to introduce your offer to your audience. And I want you to come up with 4 podcast episodes that you can talk about. And if you can use stories in them about the transformation that they'll get through working with you. I want you to write down all the joyful businesses practices that you want to focus on and anything that your business has brought you joy. And I want you to start thinking about some systems or routines that can be repeated so that you can have long-term success. So I'm excited that you have just gotten the last part of the CPR framework. If you want me to help you with this in your business, again, podcastcpr.com. That is a 45-minute audit with me where we realign, we look at all the things that are going on in your business, and we streamline this, and it helps you create that roadmap so that it can be sustainable, joyful, and profitable for your podcast and your business. And I'm really excited because next week, you want to know what we're talking about? Are you ready? Next week, we are talking about building your business without being a slave to social media with podcasting and other SEO tricks. I know. I'm ready. I'm excited. You got this. So remember, your story deserves a microphone. You are worthy. People will listen, and you can make an impact in the world. So go out, make today a music, because you are beautiful, you are wonderful, and you are worthy, and you got this. See you next week.